Hi, welcome to Make a Difference, where babies come first and play is a priority. I'm Wendy Sullivan. I'm one of the infant toddler specialists at the Capital District Child Care Council.
You're Superman, okay. You're Batman.
Today I'm going to share with you how to make an amazing cape, which I'm so excited about because it's actually the first cape that I know of that does not tie around the neck. We have all been playing with capes, and the best part about them is the fun that we can have with them. The worst part about capes is that they fall off, or they're too long, or there's just not enough to play with. I think the best thing we can do as adults is to really encourage kids to play with capes and just to have their own ideas as to what they'd like to do.
I have 4 C's. I have gray. Which one would you like?
We really like the idea of a cape that just is easy to use and children can switch it out and make their own choices. So I think you'll really enjoy it.
I now don you superhero trend.
Rough and tumble play is very classic. It's something that kids just do naturally. They're all out there running around, testing boundaries, running as fast as they can. I think the best thing that we can do is to give permission to children to experiment with a little rough and tumble play, but support them as best we can. That's the beauty of the capes. I think it really adds to the rough and play scenario. It almost gives focus to the rough and tumble so that children can have better ideas as they carry out that big muscle play. I like to reassure people that classic play is very typical behavior. It can look aggressive at times, but it's actually a great learning opportunity so that children can work with adults to learn appropriate limits. Rough and tumble play is also so much more than that. It actually lights areas up in the brain that don't light up for anything else. It lights up like a Christmas tree. And we want to make sure that we're giving children every opportunity to use every part of their brain that we possibly can. And the great thing about rough and tumble play is through the research we learned that although aggressive play can look really aggressive sometimes, it actually registers as joy in the brain. To get started, here's what you'll need to create amazing capes. You'll need a child-sized tank top, 2 large buttons that have been tested in a choke tube, adhesive knee patch material, ribbon, a pattern for capes, fabric, and scissors, regular and pinking shears, a large table to work, and an iron. So let's make a cape. The first thing you're going to need is just a child-sized tank top. That can be any tank top. Look through what's in your closet, what the kids grew out of this summer, and just lay it flat on the table in front of you. The next thing you're going to need are 2 large buttons. And what I like to ask people to do is just make sure that you test your buttons in a choke tube. These are available at all sorts of baby stores. And what it is it just makes sure that anything that comes in contact with the baby would not go down their throat. So these are all test tube tested buttons. So what you do is you take the button and you place it on the shoulder strap of the tank top, and then you just thread the ribbon underneath, and this ribbon is cut to 8-inch pieces. And then you just thread it through 2 holes of the button. I try to do the holes that are opposite, but you don't have to. And then just pull it tight right over the shoulder seam. And I usually tie like a double or triple knot just to make sure it stays in place. And then just do the same thing again. There you go. And then you can just snip that off. And then you'll just continue to do the same thing on the other side. Like with any toy, I would regularly just check to make sure that these are tied well and to make sure that the buttons aren't coming loose. And then just trim them off again. there you go. So that's the base of the cape. You're half finished now. It's just that simple. I went ahead and I made a pattern just to share with you so that you could see the size and shape of the cape. So what this is just a piece of paper that's 19 inches wide and 22 inches long. And it looks like this. And I also measured the length of your ribbon down here. So it actually starts out like a rectangle, but then I just cut the corner in a little bit. And what that does, making that corner, it just helps the cape hang better. If you will, it's not quite so bunchy across the back, and it just has more of a cape look to it. So here's the pattern for your fabric, and then you're going to take a piece of fabric and put your pattern right on top. This fabric I thought was fun. This is a flannel. It's nice to offer children just different texture materials, and so this is a little heavier, but it's kind of soft like a blanket. And then what you do is you lay your pattern right on top of that. And this is not an exact science. If you have a piece of fabric that's close, that's fine. The only thing you want to make sure of is you don't make it too long so the buddy running in back of somebody doesn't step on it and choke them. So we're going to start cutting. I wanted to show you scissors. This is a regular standard size pair of scissors. And this is pink. This is a pair of pinking shears. And you can see the zigzag edge on those pinking shears. And what that zigzag edge does is it keeps fabric from fraying, from falling apart. So I like to use the pinking shears for this part. So what you're going to do is just follow around this 19 by 22 piece of fabric with your pinking shears. Again, this is not an exact science, and every cape you make, it gets better and better. Don't worry about straight lines so much, because the cape just hangs there anyway. And the great thing is babies don't really care. They're happy to just see the cape. So there's your pattern. So that's the basic shape. We're ready to put the buttonholes on now. So you're going to need your iron plugged in, and I keep it on the cotton setting. And just make sure when you're ironing, you iron on an iron-safe surface. And I have 2 pieces of knee patch fabric that have adhesive on the back, and you just place them in the top corner of your cape. And then you just put your iron on and put light pressure on there. It doesn't take long at all. If you're using a crepey fabric like a chiffon or a scarf type fabric, I would make sure that you're not using too hot of a temperature, and just keep testing it, and just use your fingernail to see once it's bonded. Some fabrics are a little more sensitive to heat, so you just might want to be more cautious with a lighter fabric. I think we're finished. So you can see the knee patch fabric is all stuck on, and again, just test it with your fingers, and it's all stuck on. What you can do then is just fold this in half. And then you're just going to cut a little bit, and that's what makes your buttonhole. Just a little bit, and then you open it up. And you can cut it a little bit wider. And then I do a cut this way just to give children a little bit more room to get a button through, because we don't want to frustrate them because the button won't go on. I love the idea of just letting kids take care of their own stuff. So I just like to check it with a button, and that's plenty of room. So we'll get the other one cut. One more snip. There's your amazing cape. So your little friends can put their t-shirts on. Their buttons are already at the shoulder straps. And then they just button the cape of their choice on. And the great thing is, these are so affordably done. You could have a selection of 12 capes in no time at all. So that's your amazing cape. One of the most important things that Magda Gerber told us was to pay attention to babies. The most important thing that you can do for a young child is just to pay attention to them. One great way to make that happen with amazing capes is to go over play scenarios with young children in their minds. So what I like to tell people is the best time to do that is not so much during the rough and tumble time, but it's after. So after they come in and you're eating lunch or you're patting someone's back just as they're dozing off, you might be able to say to them, wow, I saw what happened today on the playground and I really thought it was so great when your buddy got hurt and you went over and you took good care of him and then everybody got up and you had some great ideas after that. Or maybe the next time, if that made you really sad, maybe the next time you could just remember to slow your body down a little bit when you're running. I know you like to run, so maybe you could think about slowing your body down. Or if they had a successful time, you could say, wow, I watched you today and you really were able to control your body and everyone just had a great time. I'm really proud that you made that happen today. You must have felt really good about yourself. And I think what happens when you do that is you attach great value to their play. Young children sit back and they think, wow, she really watches what I do and she thinks what I do is important, therefore she thinks I'm important. For more information about the services we offer and developmentally appropriate ideas for children, visit our website at cdccccc.org. Be sure to tune in next time to make a difference, or I can't wait to show you wrinkly rings.